Hey guys, so let's build our validate puzzle function. We've now got it working on the front end. We're passing, everything it expects. The puzzle ID input, date started, and hint used. Now we can actually do something with it. So we can just start off by destructuring this stuff from the request. We also want to just make sure TypeScript isn't complaining. Yep, it's all there. And then we want to return the expected response. So let's just do this sort of thing. False is success, and then const correct letters. I think it is a two-dimensional array based on the input. So for now, would that work? Nope. Would this work? Yes. Which is, yeah, anyway. That's fine for now. It's just a placeholder just to remind us what we are expected to return. So I think the very first thing we're going to need to do is go and retrieve the puzzle using the puzzle ID. We will then also fetch we'll fetch the user's result, fetch the user result using the puzzle ID. We need to check if we need just do some validation, make sure that they haven't exceeded their max attempts. So we'll just do the validate max attempts using puzzle and results data. And then we can also date started. We don't need to validate that. That's just something we're going to save. We need to fetch the solution. Fetch the solution using the puzzle ID. And then we will compare, basically validate the input against the solution and calculate the correct letters. Yep. We can move up here. And then what is Copilot? Save the user result. That's correct. Awesome. I'm happy with that, just as a little framework. So let's go and fetch the puzzle using the puzzle ID. And for that, I'll just create a new domain in here called puzzles. And we'll just, in this case, just go get puzzle by puzzle ID. Where am I? There we go. Okay, so we'll go get puzzle by puzzle ID, ts function, get puzzle by puzzle ID. It's going to be asynchronous. It's going to expect a puzzle ID. And we are going to call Firebase. I think over here, we're going to call it using admin. So we're going to go Firebase. Is that how you do it? Something like that. Const doc equals. And we want to make sure we're using the correct collection. Just in case we ever change this to something else. That way our backend and frontend will be using the same collection and no magic strings. So that should work. What does doc give us? Doc is going to give us a snapshot. So I think we might go snapshot that it doesn't exist, return. Actually, in this case, return null. And then if it does exist, return doc.data. But we want to do a similar thing to what we did in the front end, which is attach the ID and then typecast it. Again, we can validate here, but I'm going to skip that. We should validate the data, make sure that it's the expected type. But for now, let's skip that part. And this should work. We should either get a puzzle or null. Okay, so puzzle equals await. Get puzzle by puzzle ID, excuse me. If not puzzle, we need to do something here and probably throw an error. And is it an internal error? I think Firebase has these, they've got specific codes. I just want to make sure we're using the right one. We can either throw an error, which will just return a generic internal error, or we could do like a not found. Let's just do create an internal one. That's fine. This is just gonna basically be caught over here. We're gonna log it, and we're gonna throw an HTTPS error, which just returns an error in a specific format to the front end. That's all good. So by this stage, our puzzle's defined. So now we can go and fetch our user data or our user results. So I'm just going to create another domain for that and call it results. I think that's what we called it on the front end. Results, cool. And we're just going to call get result by puzzle ID. And of course you could plonk all these functions, you know, inside here if you wanted to. You don't have to extract this into another function. I just like to do that and keep things, you know, orderly with their own group by the domain, because if we create another function down the line, we might want to reuse this. And yeah, I think it's just good practice, just separating concerns a bit. So this function over here, its only job is fetching the document from Firestore and returning the data or null. So that's just a nice pattern that I found. Okay, so we'll get the result by puzzle ID. That's going to be very similar to this, except we are going to use a sub-collection that is a document of, that it has a document according to the user ID and is found at another sub-collection within that. Okay, this we need to, sorry, that's not making any sense. Get the user ID, and we do that from the request, because we want to go user ID equals string, pass it in here, and we will return the result, puzzle result. Okay, so let's just make sure we're passing the user ID to this function. And whenever we are using more than one argument, and especially if they are the same type, I like to use an object for the arguments, because sometimes if you just do something like this, I'll show you now. If you had to replace this with user ID, and then the next argument is puzzle ID, when I'm using this function, you know, I might pass, it's possible I might go puzzle ID, user ID, and then order. The order is important, so this kind of gets messed up. They're both string types. The function doesn't know, so it won't actually tell us that we've messed up the order. So I like to just keep it explicit, and also when we're calling the function, you know exactly what arguments are going in, you know. So let's pop it in here. Const result equals await get result by puzzle ID, user ID and puzzle ID. And to get the user ID, we can actually use the request, I think. Request dot, and this function is returning the request, and that's fine. How have I done it in the past? Definitely been able to get the, unless, oh, you know what? It could be, oh, we're typing it. So I think we might be excluding some base defaults, because this request, pretty sure it returns a bunch of other stuff like auth, yes, but in our types we're not getting that, because this thing's saying, I wonder why it's not extending correctly. This should be something like auth dot something, you know, UID. I know I've done that in the past. Let me just confirm. Well, definitely here. My boilerplate. Functions, auth. Functions. Change user email. Let's see. Auth user, get auth user by email. No. Yeah, the request dot auth dot UID is definitely present. So I think it's just my types. Okay, so I figured it out. I basically realized that the on-call handler over here is basically returning request of data, but we actually want all the stuff that on-call gives us anyway. So basically, I went to ChatGPT and I asked it. I just made this function. I've lost some of the request data. Please help me. And it's come back and said that basically we are missing it because we haven't included it in the type here, and we can actually infer it from the on-call. So don't worry about this too much. This is just a little util. You don't even need to use it. Yeah, but that should be fixed, and now we can see that requested auth is available. And in fact, we can up here even handle a case where auth might be undefined, because we don't want unauthenticated users using the app. So I'll just do throw any error unauthorized. That's good. So that solves that. We have the user ID. We can pass it into get result by puzzle ID, and that should return the puzzle result if it's present. And let's continue with the rest of it. Okay, so we need to validate the max attempts using the puzzle and result data. So if the result exists and the attempt is greater than the max attempts, let's do that. If and then immediately we want to just return, you know. On the front end, we're going to block this, but if somehow they manage to get through, oh, okay, let's throw an error. Yeah, that's better. I was just going to return empty state, but an error is better. Cool, so we handle that. We make sure the user's got enough attempts. They're allowed to use it. Now we can go and fetch the solution. I'll go another domain for solutions, which I believe is actually... What did we say? Did we ever define that? I don't think so. I don't think we ever added any data for solutions. So what should we do there? We could either create a new sub-collection. Oh, and that's my son. Okay, that was my boy asking me to take a little hat off his toy chicken. Yeah, so where were we? We were trying to decide if we should keep the solution as a sub-collection to the puzzles, but I don't think that really makes sense because we're only going to have one document for each solution, for each puzzle. So in that case, I would actually create a new collection called solutions, and there we can keep our actual solution, and you know that will be as simple as a sentence. I spy with my little r. Just keep it simple. Why are there two documents? Oh wait, I need to create a document with this puzzle ID. My bad. Let's just delete those, add document, boom. Solution is I spy with my little r. Keep it a sentence. And now I'm just thinking, we previously said that this input over here is going to be two-dimensional string array, but the solution is going to be a sentence. Either way, it doesn't matter. I think because we can take a sentence and destructure it into a two-dimensional array using the input as a sentence. So I think I might just go back to that approach, but leave our correct letters using the two-dimensional array, because our empty letters are very important there, but not so much at the input, because no letters can be empty. Okay, let's try it. Let's go egg. Sorry, spar with my little. Doesn't have to be an incorrect input just yet. So let's expect that, and we'll just go and update our input over here, which input as string dot flat join. This is a two-dimensional array. We want to take the letters. Take the letters, join them. Then we want to take the words and join them. And that, I think, reads a bit better. Okay, that should work. That's all good. Let's separate that. Let's just make a note here. Then join the images to form a single string phrase. Cool. Okay, all good. Now we've defined our solution. We've got it in the DB. Let's go and fetch it. Okay, we've got a new domain for that one called solutions. Get solution by puzzle ID. Why are you complaining? You shouldn't. And that'll just be solutions. Oops, we didn't do any setup here. Okay. Yeah, of course, because on the front end we didn't actually fetch the data, so we wouldn't have set it up. But did we create a type for it? Puzzles? Nope. Let's create a new type for it. Puzzles. We'll keep an ID, and we will add a solution as a string. Yep. I don't think we need anything else. Solution. Types not included yet because we need to actually add it there. From solutions. Sweet. Okay, then we can go and fetch it. So let's go solution equals await gets solution by puzzle ID. If we don't have a solution, return an error. Something is wrong. And I'm just wondering, puzzle ID. Okay, we check if the user is authenticated. We check the max attempts using the puzzle, so this is all in the correct order. Then we go and check the solution. That's fine. I'm happy with that. So now we can start validating the solution. So we have our input as a string. Oh, we can actually compare it directly now. That's cool. Yes. I was thinking we're going to have to do like funky indexing with the two-dimensional arrays, but that will only happen with the letters, correct letters. So now we can go correct letters we always want to calculate. Validation we can do at the end, which is just going to say we're just going to go input not equal to solution dot solution. So, whoops, sorry. It has success if the input equals the solution. Nice and simple. That'll come after that. And we are going to calculate the correct letters now. So this will be a bit interesting. The correct letters. So let's just have a hypothetical scenario. Let's go egg spar with my little egg. So what I expect from the correct letters is something like this. Correct letters. We're going to have E is correct, but G is incorrect, and so is the next G. And Copilot's already figured that out, so no, it hasn't. Sorry, solution. Maybe it needed the solution. So I'm actually just using Copilot to sort of like do this for me. Okay, const solution not solution. Okay, let's see. This will be very interesting if we can actually figure this out by itself. Okay, we're splitting it into an array of words. We then splitting each word into an array of letters and mapping that out. I think this could work actually. I mean, I think you can tell by now, I'm a huge fan of outsourcing. And if I can outsource this funky logic to Copilot, I will do that. And I think this is worth testing. I mean, definitely in the wild, I would write tests for this, but let's just test it manually. Okay, so we assume we have correct letters. We then need to save the user result before we return success. And what is the user's result going to look like? Let's see. Close that. That's all good. Yep, that will be returned in the current state, I think. Awesome. So I think we matched our response and inputs quite nicely. Let's see. We want to do a few things here. We want to basically create a new result document if it doesn't exist, or update the existing one. And I might just use Firestore's set for this. So set can do both. We can merge two documents. So if I send up a new document, it'll merge it with the already existing one, or it will just create a brand new one. So I think I'll do that, and we'll call this one save user result. Save. Could just say save result. Okay, and let me just copy all this stuff. Save result. What do we need to be able to do that? We're gonna need the result itself. So puzzle result. And what else do we need? We are going to store that at the user's ID, and then also at the puzzle ID. So a collection called puzzles, and then a sub collection called puzzles, and then puzzle ID. So let me just illustrate that a bit better. So we'll save it to users, user ID, results, puzzle ID. Awesome. And, you know, the reason I'm kind of using a sub collection here, you know, with solutions, we created a brand new collection, something like that. But for results, I wanted to tie it to each user, because in the future, when we do the leaderboard stuff and add, you know, past results, in that case, I want to kind of, we're using anonymous authentication now, which won't really persist between devices. So in the future, I'll maybe introduce some other auth, like sign in with email, password, Google, Facebook, whatever. And then in that case, we'll attach some user data to this. So I'm just future-proofing it a bit. So that's where we'll save it, and we'll need a user ID to save it to, as well as a puzzle ID. So because we're adding more arguments that are the same type, we need to now create an object for the arguments. User ID, puzzle ID, result. Awesome. That should work. And what we want to do is basically go Firebase admin and use Firestore. Yep, well done. That's amazing. And we also want to merge true. What did I do? Yep. That's, for some reason, it's... Okay, it's just my text wrappings make it look a bit weird, but that's okay. And we mustn't forget to use the same collection references. And what would be even better is creating some kind of helper to get the user's result reference. But anyway, let's leave it like that. Cool, that should work. Save result. Results. Maybe I should call it save puzzle results, because that's just not overly obvious. And that's fine. We can keep that result. Cool. What does that look like? Let's see. Const new result. Let's typecast it so we don't miss anything. We're gonna completely update this, and we're gonna go await, save puzzle results, new results. Yep, all that stuff. Okay, let's make sure we don't need to save ID. Because the ID is actually inferred. So I might just omit ID over here. And by inferred, I mean when we pull the data, we automatically attach the ID. So it's just like our internal type expects this, but our database type is almost like it doesn't exist in the database. So we'll just omit that. We will... This is now also omitting the ID, so let's just go parameters, type of, boom, 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 boom. And yes, that's, sorry, results. This is just not necessary at all. You could even just do that and then TypeScript will complain at this point. And I'm not sure which is the better approach. I like it when it complains here at the object level, but that just looks very verbose. Anyway, it's doing its job. So let's see. You're first looking for attempts. So I don't like that. Attempts, result.attempts, or 0 plus 1. We want to increment it. Why are you complaining? Type number is not assignable to type 3. That was a little weird. Hint used will go, if the user passed hint used, or default to results dot hint used or false. I think Boolean is not in the sound. Oh, you know what I've done here? I have used data in my type, so I was like doing false, and that was bad of me. So anyway, there we go, all sorted. So we're gonna, if we passed in hint used, we're gonna attach that. There we go. Gotta remove the hat from the chicken. Excuse me. Okay, this time Cole wanted to tell me that he wants a hot rod, but a real one. So I told him, save your money up and you can buy your own one day. He loves cars. Cool. I mean, yeah, as a boy, who didn't say? Okay, so where were we? We need to attach a few more things. We basically... I don't know if I'm doing this the right way, but what I'm trying to do here is say, if hint use was true in the input, and it doesn't exist on the existing result, then we set it. Same thing with date started. And date, this one we can just use. Right, my bad, we have a util for that. Get ISO string, it's a bit easier. Slight sidetrack. Okay, cool. So is there a better way of doing that? Let's have a look. Yeah, let's think about this. So let's first initialize this with result. Everything's undefined because results is undefined. What I'm trying to do here is just give it some empty state and then go if, you know, if hint used, go and set it. Yes, something like that. But it looks like it wants all this. So what's a nice easy way of doing it? I think I'm just gonna have to stick to my approach. Okay, so if there were attempts or there aren't, if there were attempts, we incremented by 1, all good, no worries. If hint use was passed, we'll pass that in. Otherwise, we'll fall back to whatever hint use was, or we'll just keep it as false. I think that's fine, right? If date started was present, we passed that, no. We want to check if not result, then we add date started. Otherwise, we just fall back to, that was confusing me a bit. Basically because if the user starts a game and they, you know, call submit, we're going to send this up and then we're going to save it to the user result. Then they, you know, they don't get the puzzle right and then they call submit again. We're going to be, I mean, just how everything's wired up, this is going to come up, be sent up again. And if they had to reload the page or something, I think this is going to be reset. Based on this logic here. So when over here, when the data is loaded, we go and set date started. But maybe, I mean, we could further improve this by saying, if there is no result data, we will set date started. Yeah, I think that's cool. If not result, but I don't want this thing to fire twice. I'm just wondering if I do something like this, if not result data, then I have to update these dependencies, which is going to cause this effect to run once when puzzle data comes in and then another time when result data comes in, setting puzzle state twice. So I'm just trying to think of a way of avoiding that, and that's why I thought of this. You know, we only set it if it's not already set. Alternatively, we can also move this into its own use effect. So I think that might be a better approach. Another car toy is just giving me this. He likes to, his love language is gifting. Okay, so I think that's what we need to do here, is use another effect for this. That way we can sort of clean this up a bit and say if not result data, only then do we need to set this date started. But now we're complicating things because we throw an error if the date started is not set. Okay, in that case, I'm gonna go back to what my gut was saying. Just leave this as is. So whether, you know, if the puzzle data comes in, we're gonna set the date started. All good, don't worry. But on the back end, only set it to the result if the result doesn't exist. Or I think what would be more straightforward would be something like this. So if it doesn't exist, set it. Otherwise, use the current. That's cool. Date modified, we're going to set to the current time as an ISO string. Completed. Is completed a thing? Yep. Date completed. let's make these not optional so that we know we're getting everything. And date completed. So I want completed there. I want date completed. Ah, okay. Maybe date completed should be optional. String or undefined. If I make it optional, then it should stop complaining. Okay, I think that's it. Let's give it a test. Whew. Cool. Yeah, so we're getting the puzzle at the beginning using the puzzle ID. We're then getting the user's result if it exists. We are ensuring that they haven't reached their max attempts. We are getting the solution. Dad. Oh, okay. And this time I had to put his nappy on. Well, he doesn't wear nappies, but he wanted me to put his old nappy on me. Okay, so what else? We're checking correct letters, we looking for a success, and then we're saving the user's results. And then returning it finally. So let's see how that works. This should be really interesting. Let's reload the page. We are gonna submit, we're gonna get the input, get the response, set correct letters, handle success or failure. I just want to double check that our show hint and date started is working quickly. Date started, show hint, hint used. Yes, okay, so it's not used, now it is used. Reload the page, it's not used. Date started is, I think that's the correct time. 13:54 here, minus 10 hours. Yep, okay, that looks good. That's not updating. I just want to make sure that started that's not updating. Cool. Happy. Let's see what happens when we just plonk in a whole lot of random letters. I'll be very surprised if this works. Submit. Loading. Boom. Argument is not a valid Firestore document. Cannot use undefined as a Firestore value. Date completed was undefined. Okay, so we did some stuff. But when saving the puzzle result. Oh, okay, just trying to attach undefined here. So I thought that was a bit iffy. Let's rather fall back to an empty string, and then that should be fine. But nothing would have saved, so we can probably just try that again. Oop, cool. Data, date completed. Really? Surely not. I set it to an empty string. Do I need to restart the server now? I've actually forgot I made changes, but I don't think the hot reloading works on the emulator. So let's see if that fixes it. Might just update that. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Reloading. Submit. Incorrect answer. Please try again. Nice. Okay. So we got something. That's great. At least it's doing something. But what it didn't do is reset the puzzle state and set the correct letters. And I would like to just go and have a look at this response. Here, response. I also assume we now have a result. Attempt 1, completed false, date completed is empty string, date modified, and started is correct, hint used false. That looks pretty legit. Let us run it again. What's going to happen now? Oh, wow, are you hot reloaded and then get today's puzzle. Okay, submit that. Okay, what do we get? Correct letters. None of them were correct. Spar with ma, little r. Oh, that's interesting. So currently we aren't taking the order into account. We just, we're just basically checking that is the index of the solution correct. So if I say I submitted spa R and spa egg, and the solution was R spa, correct letters in the word spa would all be wrong. But in terms of that word, we actually got the entire word right. So we're going to have to try and take that into account. And that might be tricky. Because how do we handle the order? How do we know that the user was actually typing out the word spa there and not some other word? We'll need to use the images as a reference in the input too. And only then can we look at each word and check if each letter in each word is in the correct place. Because at the moment, the correct letters is relevant relative to the entire phrase. But I want it relevant relative to the word. Because in this case, if I had typed in spa over here, I would want this puzzle to actually return spa in the correct letters. But at the moment, it's not. So I'm going to have to rethink that. I might do it in a new video. Because this one is pretty much my longest video so far. So we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.